So continue finish our case study for the payroll system using polymorphism. So earlier in the clip 4 video, we show you how all these 4 classes are implemented. And also you see how the dynamic binding can call the virtual function, find the correct implementation from the current object. That's what we call the dynamic binding. So according to the pointer currently refer to the object, so they will find the right implementation for the virtual function. However, we didn't finish this one, right? Because like we say, the current pay period, the company decide to reward for only base plus commission employee to add 10% to their base salary. How should we do that? Earlier, remember, we only have one employee vector. So we're just using a dynamic binding to print out every information. However, now I need to find only the base plus commission employee. How should we do that? And also you see here, in order to add 10% to their base salary, I need to invoke set base salary member function. But that base salary member function is only in the base plus commission employee. So did you remember we need to do the downcasting in order to get the base salary and also set the base salary? How should we do the downcasting? Right, in the previous example we show you, when you do the casting, we have the static cast. So then according to the data type, you can cast on the current data type to the new data type. But when you have the static cast, that means for the static memory. So earlier, all our object we create is the static object. So that's we use the static casting. So the following example, when we want to do the downcasting, let's also try to use the dynamic memory management. Did you remember how to create the dynamic memory? Right, since we use the account pointer, right? So of course we can use the new to refer to the object. So all the object we create, we will do the dynamic memory. We will use the new keyword. However, when you have your dynamic memory, when we do the casting, we do the dynamic casting. So the same thing we're using from the current data type to convert to cast to the new data type. So this example, the same thing, you need to have all the header file and the source file for these 4 classes. But we will have another test driver. That's our example 6. In this example 6, we still create the salaried employee, commission employee, and base plus commission employee. But the different thing is now we will create the vector employee pointer. So right after I create, I just assign one by one for the dynamic memory object. Good. So when I want to print the information, I can print one by one, right? So now after I do that, how can I find the base plus commission employee for Captain Hook? So I can increase his base salary by 10%. Right, so that's why here, when we do the for loop later, we also can check when we try to downcasting to the base plus commission employee, can we get that value or not? Okay, so what we mean is, for example, here I have employee 012, right? Right, I can all try to do the downcasting for all the object. Right, so like earlier we say, if we want to do the downcasting, I want to find if this employee pointer, the object we refer to, if I want to, because this one is the base plus commission employee, right? So that's why I can try to downcasting this object to the base plus commission employee. However, if this one is base plus commission employee, right, then we can do the downcasting correctly. However, for example, employee 1. The employee 1 actually is a base plus commission employee or not? No, commission employee is not a base plus commission employee, right? Good. So that's why sometimes if you try to do the downcasting, but if the object you want to cast to, they are not really the type we have defined here. So then actually this pointer will refer to an empty pointer. So on the other hand, that means only when you refer to an child class object, when you want to do the downcasting, they did match the data type. So then your downcasting will be successful. Then they will really return you the pointer location. But if the data type not match, actually they didn't really downcasting correctly. So on the other hand, if you try to assign the pointer, so then they will become 0. So that's why here, when we want to try to reword the base plus commission employee, so we still need to have a for loop, right? We need to go over that to check which one is the base plus commission employee. So in order to check the data type is correct, we just need to do the downcasting. If they downcasting successfully, they will return us the correct pointer location. So that's why we see here. So when we want to find the base plus commission employee, we're still using the index for the vector size for the boundary. So then you just print the employee information. So because everyone, we need to print the information. However, we need to focus on if this employee is base plus commission employee. So then I want to change the base salary, right? Good. So that's earlier we said. When you do the downcasting, you need to assign this downcasting. They will return you that's the child class pointer. So then we reassign this one to the child class data type pointer. So then here, if this employee I is really the base plus commission employee, they will downcast successfully. So then they assign the address to the pointer. However, if the data type not match, they won't give you error. They just return you 0. Yeah, because I cannot do the casting. Good. So that's why every object we want to do that. Because we do the dynamic memory, so we do the dynamic casting. So only when you have your derived pointer not equal to 0, we find the base plus commission employee object. Good. So then we can change. So then we get the old salary display. So then we set the 10%. Actually, that's me 1.1 from the old salary. So we set to the base salary. So that's why here the base class commission employee being raised for 10%. So here, since we're using the dynamic memory, don't forget at the end, please delete your object one by one. And here, be careful when you try to delete the object, right? So we still need to use, we just need to delete the object one by one. We are not using the array. So we delete the object one by one. So if you want to know the object type, you see also we can display the object type name. So that's why here, that's the output. We display all the employee information, but only the Captain Hook, that's the base salary and commission employee. So we raise for 10%. So then you see we delete the object. So here actually we say the name for the object. So that's why you see the class name being displayed. So did you see here we use the type ID to find the current object type ID. So afterward we invoke the name. So that's why here when you see the salaried employee, that's the class name. So actually that's their type ID for 16, 18, 26. So you can try on your system when you run the program, like earlier we showed you, right? When you run from your project, you have all those files. So when you run, you see if you have the same type ID number as my sample output.